But I remember you have a really fascinating story. I'd love for you to share how you came to the US. I remember you told me the story, really an inspirational story.
So I gave up my top salary job, and I was able to persuade my wife to come over to the US. So there was a distributor of the prosthetics in South Korea, Penile implant. There was a rep working with the other doctors. So I asked him, please introduce me to the US companies. But back then, all the implants were made in US. So I knew that they had prosthetic jobs. I attended their hands-on courses. Back then, AMS reps told me that if you come over, we'll help you get trained. And as I had the email addresses of the proctors back then, I emailed them, each of them, like 50 times. But unfortunately, I had no return. So I contacted the rep in South Korea and asked them to help me get connected with the main company when I arrived in US. They told me that, sure, Dr. Park, why not? Because you are going to be a good customer. And I went to my wife's uncle's house, who was living in New Jersey, by the way, with his wife and the 5-year-old son. It was a two-bedroom condo. And when we arrived, there was not much room, right? So his wife and his son went to Korea.
Oh.
To stay at our house. Before I came to US, every friend of mine told me that, Sean, don't do it. Don't go to the US, just make money. Why are you risking yourself? And even my closest friend told me that, Sean, tell me the truth. You are going there just to enjoy, right? With the excuse of the learning, right? Well, 99.9% of people around me objected my idea of going to the US to get trained. But there's only one person who approved it and who supported it. Was my wife.
Your wife.
So we came to the US in a small house. So for the first week, we just took a rest. And I contacted the Korean rep that asking for the contact in the US. But there was no return. There was no returning call. That promise, which I risked everything, he didn't return any call or any email. Even though I called him, we spoke on the phone. He said that at some point he told me, sorry, Dr. Park, my boss told me that I cannot give you any contact.
With no explanation?
With no explanation at all. He was just turning me down. So my wife's uncle, he was going out there and trying to contact the others so that he can find some prosthetic urologists. Of course, he was not able to, because prosthetic urologists, as you know, is very rare.
Very rare, and they have to respond to a fellow urologist. You have to have your connections, good connections.
At the same time, I was nobody. Who will accept, some Korean guy coming over from out of nowhere to his practice? I had no validation. It is very hard for them, even me. If I cannot get a recommendation from the others, I time to time do not accept the training. And I think most of them thought that I'm from North Korea, so. So they maybe that's the reason why, I don't know. So
fascinating story. I'm very curious now to learn, when did the turning point happen?
So I tried about a month. I was on the verge of giving up to get trained. And I still have that plan. I was planning to go a car trip from New Jersey to the Florida, Key West. So at least, we'll have a good time, right? But before I quit, there was one contact I had, one name I had. The name is a Uromix, which is a device for the difficult cases. My wife told me that, Sean, at least why don't you buy that instrument? Because it's not available in South Korea. If you're ever going to do the surgery, you may need it. Her word inspired me, gave me an idea. Oh, if this guy is making a device for the difficult cases, he may know someone who do a good surgery, right? So on the phone call, I called the Uromix company's office and asked for, can I buy your instrument? Or, I explained my terrible situation to him. And it will be so grateful if you can introduce me any surgeon. I only need a single case to observe. He told me, well, why don't you come over? So I drove my wife's uncle's car without his permission all the way down to Philadelphia for 4 hours. And guess what? The guy who we spoke on the phone. I arrived at his office. It was a urology office. Turns out that Dr. Moorville was a creator, inventor of the Uromix. So he's a urologist practicing in Philadelphia. On site, I bought 2 sets of Uromix, which cost me about $10,000. Just prove my intention, just to prove my enthusiasm.
And your
I paid
seriousness
it.
about it, yeah.
And then Dr. Moorville gladly rounded the call, told me everything about I should know about how to get trained. Because I never had the training like this. He guided me where to go or what kind of surgeon you will need to see. So he picked several, and then because they have a good trimline of the surgery. Otherwise, I won't be able to get trained properly. That's what he said. Oh, by the way, Dr. Moorville asked me, Sean, as you are located in New Jersey, I guess you just want to go around in New Jersey. So I said, no, sir. I will go anywhere in the US. Just give me all the contacts you got. So then okay. And he rounded the call in Dr. Mellinger in the New York, Dr. Pramso Eid in New York, and then Bruce Gabo in Philly, and Stephen Wilson in California, and Paul Prido in Florida.
Miami, yeah.
Everyone accepted his call, and everyone was willing to help me as a trainee. My life changed at his office at that moment. That was a first,
that was the sign.
Like a singularity point of my life to become a prosthetic urologist.
Wow.
After a month and several days of the agony, I was able to be that. So the first guy who accepted me as a trainee was Stephen Wilson.
The godfather.
The godfather of me. And I didn't know who he is, by the way. So I fly from the New Jersey to his office. It took me about 12 hours to get there. And I stayed at the hotel just for 4 hours. And I wake up and cleanse myself and went to his JFK Memorial on walk. And guess what? For 3 cases, he started at 7 a.m. And all cases ended, even though they were under general anesthesia, it ended before 11. Boom, boom, boom. He was doing like that. Even though he was training me, explaining me all the steps. Oh my God, what a great surgery. What a great surgery this is. What a life he's having. After that, everything stunned me. That moment, okay, I'm going to do this. I have to do this because I want to live like him. Mm-hmm.